Yo, what is good, my quick crypto family and my coin factory family? Back once more with another daily Casper and crypto live stream. And the current thesis, or the ideal of this stream today is going to be ultimately highlighting just how early we are. In today's stream, we're going to be covering predominantly about a lot of the Casper FUD. It's important to note we've been hearing some back and forth between the likes of Johnny and Shai, and we've got a whole conclusion about it. Shai has even apologized about it as well, which is quite reassuring. We also got some FUD regarding Chainge Finance and Nox as well. It's not the best day in that regard for Casper, unfortunately, but it's important to cover nonetheless to get us a proper understanding of what's going on in this ecosystem, and ultimately that we are still leveling up and evolving from there. Don't let this unfortunate FUD distract you from the long-term vision of Casper. And of course, then in some other bullet points as well, we got numerous sources regarding the macro news today, regarding the fundamentals from the quote smart money, the likes of BlackRock, the likes of the largest Berkshire, Bridgewater as well, who've ultimately shifted their stance, and now they are very, very bullish on crypto. Ultimately, I'm going to be highlighting the potential of how high, or how much higher crypto could go from here potentially, and also how that can correlate to a massive increase in adoption for the space and therefore for Casper as well. But as always, if you enjoy these streams, as I'll be doing these daily, leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. What's up, Mr. Mama Man? Welcome back to the stream. First, it's good to have you back again. The title feels like you forgot to take out the crypto X part. Yeah, no, I meant X as in, because sometimes you do something X, something else as a combination, but I should just put the and button instead. So I changed the title to now crypto and Casper, which is a lot better. What's up, DC, my man? Yo, what is good? I hope you're fed up to you today. I'm always fed up, Mr. Miles. I'm always fed up with him, but you can't get rid of him either. He's like a annoying little brother I just can't get rid of, What's up, Buffalo? Welcome back to the stream. Laos, you too. Hope you're doing very, very well. He feeds me on the green days for Casper. Yeah, there you go. Again, already taking the mic. Did I say Casper? I meant XRP. Well, there you go. You're getting fed today then, apparently. But that being said, before we get into more of the questions, stuff like that, ultimately going to get into the stream today. So I want to first cover some quite important factors. For one, it's Casper's current market chart on CoinMarketCap. CoinMarketCap highlights that Casper's currently at $2.07 billion market cap, but the volume's only at 29.37 million, which is one of the lowest we've seen for Casper in an extremely, extremely long time. It's been going down consistently, yet the price is stagnating. So ultimately, what we are seeing right now is Casper's being kept up and or kept down. There's not a lot of volume going through it, which is what, me and Cody were joking about in our community, in the CF community, Coin Factory community, a few days back, or yesterday even, where we were just saying, the volume's not moving. So it must be almost like all the transactions for Casper right now are being done by market makers over the counter. Because Casper's still got, transactions going through, we can see that. While it's stagnated in price right now, we're seeing it going up and down. So there are people buying and selling Casper. It's just the on-chain volume is really, really low. So once more, diving into the fact that market makers and OTC trading of Casper is happening right now. And it's unfortunate, but Casper understandably right now has not got a lot of retail adoption because it's still not got the major exchanges, and it still hasn't even got the big use cases yet. Talking 10 BPS, smart contracts, stablecoins, the deal. We can see right now, if you look at the exchanges in question, Gate is at 14%, MEXC at 26%. Then BitGet and Bybit, for what I believe is now the third or fourth or fifth day in a row now, have continued to have quite high percentage of volume, 16 and 10%. Now, of course, the volume for Casper overall is terrible, so it doesn't really matter. But the fact that we're seeing high percentage volume for these two exchanges is a positive indicator, because again, once more, remember the KF stated in an AMA, in a roundtable on Twitter back in November 10th of 2024, that when they spoke to these major tier 1 exchanges, what they are looking for is high volume on the major exchanges. We're lacking the high volume, but we're getting it on the major exchanges. So if they stay in the same fashion when the volume starts to rally up more so, that could potentially be a good indicator for the likes of Binance, Coinbase, Upbit, OKX, and Crypto.com to list Kaspa. But that, again, for me, it's no matter of if, it's a matter of when. So while Kaspa price right now is currently down minus 0.16% on the daily time frame, not really moving much right now, it's currently valued at 0.079746. And again, should Kaspa respect this current downwards sloping wedge that we drew out a week or two back now, Kaspa currently now is getting very, very close to that level of resistance. So potentially this could be an indicator that Kaspa comes down tomorrow, because it's going to be rejected here and go down in towards this support area here, or we might see it surpass this downward sloping wedge and start to make a rally up to the next level of resistance here, being around 9 to 10 cents up here. Again, that is if it does respect this trend line, which again it may not. I don't trust TA wholeheartedly in that regard. I trust most of the macro news and fundamentals to help me determine where the market and price is going to go. Right now, technology wise, Kaspa's got a lot coming out for it. We've got an EVM from KRI, we've got DevNets for Igor Labs and also for Casplex. So those sort of things are going to be coming out, and I believe they'll see public testnets coming out end of this month, if not early April. So in that regard, that could be a potential price pumper. But at the same time, we've got to understand that the market right now, conditions-wise, is still not the best. Optimistic for the future, yes, but right now, still not the best. And all the Kaspa's big developments that are bringing more adoption, the actual real use case, not the testnets, the actual thing on chain, on the block DAG, won't be coming through for another month or so. Not far off, truth be told, but ultimately highlighting that Kaspa may not respect this trend line and may continue to just trade sideways for the time being. Again, the volume right now for Kaspa is not there. Now, what I'm going to do before I get into more of the content, I'm going to answer more questions real quickly before I end up getting into the nitty-gritty stuff here. This is going to be quite an extensive part on Kaspa. Ultimately, already covered the big news. I'm sure you've all watched my recent video as well on my channel, talking about KRI bringing Trinity to Kaspa. Very, very bullish. There's a lot of very bullish things to cover. One such will be this post I'll get into a little bit later on as well. But I want to cover this part here because it's ultimately quite an extensive bit of FUD, which is important to note. And it gives us a different perspective on the current space as a whole. I will quickly give a disclaimer though that Shai has already apologized, which is reassuring because that's something that, respect to Shai, I do have utmost respect for him, but he doesn't apologize very often. So he obviously understands that what he said was either wrong or he just shouldn't have said it in the first place. We'll get into, of course, all of that in a moment. Before I answer some questions real quickly though. Buffalo 3, Mr. Mars today? Yeah, Mr. Mars got in there. He's getting in very, very early nowadays. He's like waiting for me. He's just stalking my YouTube channel, I swear. Yeah, I heard the hum bang it from upstairs. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Again, apparently him being my basement, you know. What's up, my man? Capital prediction. I stopped doing price predictions because I just think it's a very toxic mindset thing. Ultimately, I think it's do very, very well from here. I think if you stick around for the stream, my man, you'll see these sort of posts I'll be getting to in a moment that ultimately has institutions and their, you know, allocation and belief and bullish stance on crypto and Bitcoin going forward, and that can determine, you know, potential allocation for Kaspa as well. So we'll talk about potential should we see it hit these targets. I saw Nacho making a jump. Yeah, I have seen Nacho has done okay today, 70% up on the daily time frame, currently valued at $15.8 million market cap. Holders are still holding strong. I think we did see a small fall off a holder for Nacho, which is not too surprising right now. The volume's up again recently as well. I'll get into some of the news about KRC20 in a moment, because ultimately two DEXs, being Chainge Finance and also Nox.meme, have effectively discontinued, have liquidity issues, rugged, whatever you want to, you know, label it as, which of course we'll get into that in a moment. Yo, Shai, my man, hope you're doing very, very well. Welcome back to the stream. Where to buy Nacho? The easiest way to find out where to buy Nacho, my man, is you go on to, because Kasfi, this is kas.fyi, you go to the KRC20 token section up here. This information is, or the website link to this is available in my community, in my free Discord server here, to go check that out in the Useful Channel website, or Useful Channels tab. But ultimately, the best way to figure out where Nacho can be purchased is you just go on this website, you just click Nacho. When you click Nacho, it'll come up with, you know, its chart here, also along the lines of a list of exchanges, which of course we have seen Nacho discontinue many exchanges recently, from Bitconomy to was it Exec as well. There are many more. There's like 4 or something they discontinued and they delisted of them, or they're about to be delisted right now at least. They stopped trading. So there aren't many that actually trade Nacho right now. So it does seem a little bit bearish in that regard, but I'm not too worried because, again, them, in a sense, freeing up space for the bigger listings, the likes of, inevitably, in my belief, the likes of Kraken and or Binance and or Coinbase that will likely launch these memes in due time. If they do, of course, they've got to list Kaspa first, but once we get the Kaspa listing, I mean, from what I've heard from these communities, the likes of Nacho, the likes of Chainge, the likes of Kaspi Cat here, I haven't heard from the many other ones just yet, but from what I know, a lot of them actually have already spoke to these tier ones, and seemingly they are ready, but it's just not the right time. So they don't want to list it right now because they're not going to get anything from it. So they're not listing it right now, but in due time they will. But these are current places where you can get Kaspa Nacho from even. You can get it from Kaspa.com, which, currently the highest volume one is on Ascendex. You've got Pinex as well. You've got Coinex as well. You've got Kaspa.bot, Kaspa.com, and Kaspa Market, which has no volume at all right now. So I'd probably argue not that one. But these are the ones that currently trade Nacho, so you can get it from them, my man. You can also Google. You can also keep Google KRC20 as well. You can do that as well. Just don't buy Nacho. I mean, right now the meme market is definitely in a bit of a shambles. I have not invested in anything right now, and I remember saying that months back, and I said I'm going to get into it very, very soon, and I never did. And maybe I had a sixth sense about the matter and didn't invest in time. Because had I done so, I would be down on this right now. That's inherently my just start. I had a feeling with the whole meme market where I was at, because all Solana memes were falling off around that time as well when I was saying I was going to get into these. I just didn't get into it. Yeah, and I was saying that a lot of these memes I would personally like to believe, not financial advice, I believe that they are kind of at their rock bottom right now. That while it is possible, I don't think they can go much lower from here. And with the market reversal for me inevitable in due time, I believe Kaspa will get listings, it'll get more adoption, higher price, and the memes as a result will also start to rally more so as well. But again, we'll get into all of that in a moment. 8 cents tomorrow, you're welcome. Again, 8 cents would be we're currently holding around 8 cents right now. Hopefully we see Kaspa surpass this wedge here and go higher. Kaspa prediction, please. Again, my man, I'm not doing price predictions because if I was to say Kaspa's going to reach $5 a cycle, you can choose to believe me or not, but ultimately, that in itself is going to give you an understand. Whether you believe me wholeheartedly or not, which I'm not saying it's going to reach $5. I'm just giving an example of whether you believe me or not. The whole thought process now is going to be, if Kaspa does not reach $5, then it didn't do well, which is just completely incorrect mindset to have. Ultimately, Kaspa's done very, very well so far since its launch, and it was done very bad since August 1st, since when it come down 70-60%. So August, September, October, November, December, about 7-8 months or so. Well, it has not done very well in that matter. For me, the way I view it from right now is Kaspa's at 8 cents right now. I wholeheartedly believe, and I will say this much at least, that Kaspa will surpass all-time highs this cycle and will go much further as well, based on the incoming catalysts and also this macro news I'll cover in a moment, which covers their stance on crypto and Bitcoin, and we can correlate to these outlandish but seemingly still high bullish price targets and correlate to what that can mean for Kaspa, talking about market cap as well. But again, I'll come back to that later on. If you take over, my man, you'll hear out. Why is the price prediction asked every time we get into live? Because people ultimately just want to hear, Kaspa's going to do a 50x from here, or this asset's going to do a 100x from here. They want to hear that. Ultimately, the space we're in here to make money. Some people are in Kaspa also for a hedge against the fiat system, like I know Tony says he's a part of, and that's the reason he holds it, like myself. But people also make it for a quick gain, or just for money. So they want to hear a price target so they can understand what their multiplier is from here. End of the day, I'm not by any means against the question. And few streams back, and probably about a few weeks back now, I was still answering those questions about where they can go from here. Those who know what my predictions are, they haven't changed at all. And those who have been a part of my executive community here, we do our weekly live streams and learn a lot more in-depth information. If anything, my prediction may have got even more bullish from the research that I found in here, had led me very, very optimistic for the market Kaspa trying to target and what it's trying to do in this space. Understanding more so about the money coming through, so if you want to know more about that, check out the What page, 7-day free trial. You can get a peek behind the curtains for what we're providing in there. Weekly live streams, institutional research documents, trades and whatnot. Links are down in the description, my homepage here, also in the chat right now. But I'm not, again, against people asking my predictions. I'm just going to give the response of, I'm not going to tell you a price. I'm going to give you sources that gives people their price and then let you make a prediction for yourself. Because ultimately, the whole premise of investing, you should, again, I'm not a financial advisor. No one in the space is, to my knowledge. No one's a financial advisor. You shouldn't blindly listen to anybody about their price predictions. People are saying $30 XRP the cycle. I don't believe that. $30 XRP the cycle is above a $1 trillion market cap. That just, for me, is unrealistic. Despite its adoption to banks, I don't think that's realistic at all, this cycle. In the future to be, maybe, who knows? When we get more adoption and the trillions of dollars of capital coming into crypto, maybe. But the cycle for me is very unrealistic. Kaspa, in that regard, the way to determine price, you don't look at price. Like, if I say $2 Kaspa, that doesn't sound very high. But when you think about the way to determine price is by market cap. Market cap is the ultimate factor for what decides the price of the project. Ultimately, the price is determined by, the market cap is determined by the circular supply times by the price. So to determine where the price of a product is going to go, you've got to understand the market cap, and the market cap is ultimately very important. So if Kappa reaches $2, for example, that would be a $50 billion market cap. That doesn't sound too far. That's 48 billion more from here. And when you compare it to other products in this space, it equally doesn't sound too far-fetched. But again, I'm not telling anyone where I believe is going to go here. I'm going to eventually, later on the stream, highlight these are smart money, so people who control the markets, what they believe we should be seeing and doing with Bitcoin and crypto, and correlate that to where we can see, therefore, Bitcoin potentially reach this cycle and future to come, and then correlate to where we can see, therefore, Kaspa potentially in respects to Bitcoin. So I'm not saying where Kaspa's going to go, I'm just making the connections based on everything else we see there as well. What's up, Andy, my man? Hope you're doing very, very well. I've got 30 more Kaspa. Big up, my man. Keep filling that bag. Looking very healthy indeed. But with that being said, I am going to get into some of the posts now before we get into more of the questions in the stream. So first off, I want to get into some of the FUD for Kaspa. While no one wants to hear FUD, it's important to note, and ultimately it gives us a bit of a rundown of what was going on between Shai and also between Johnny, who is the executive vice president of the KEF, and of course Shai is one of the core dev or core research devs, if you will, who is a part of Kaspa as well. So ultimately, I'm not going to go through and read this word for word because that is going to bore a lot of people. So I'll give a summary of what was stated here. So ultimately, Shai makes a summary about the thoughts of stablecoins for Kaspa, about the KF in general. So his thoughts about stablecoins on Kaspa and the KF in general. So his whole blunt point here is he doesn't think KRC20 is the correct protocol for stablecoins on Kaspa. Shai believes KRC20 actually has a weak trust model, inadequate for DeFi and stablecoins. Shai is suggesting the KS proposal to Tether to use KRC20 for USDT on Kaspa actually may be a bit rushed in an attempt to establish KRC20, or KRC even, as the default before better alternatives emerge. So Shai is ultimately making the point that KRC is effectively trying to push out so much early right now to make itself such a massive player early on that when the potential better alternatives emerge, they won't be able to compete or rally as quickly because KRC20 has already adopted majority of the liquidity. Shai also thinks KRC is becoming obsolete due to Crescendos, the Crescendo hard fork, and upcoming ZK roll-up development stacks. So the smart contracts as well. So he believes that KRC is becoming obsolete because of 10 BPS and also because of Crescendo, the 10 smart contracts, to which we've already had confirmation actually, which I think Shai is getting to a moment that, especially when Project Sparkle comes out, that the KRC20 tokens, these memes, will become smart contracts. So, if they didn't, then I'd argue yes, but they are going to be, so I'm not too worried about that just yet. Shai also mentions here about the KF's role and their transparency. He says the KF is perceived right now as the patron of Kaspa, which is, unjustified. Shai is basically highlighting here the KF is a business entity with its own interests, which, it is to an extent, and it's not solely aligned with the Kaspa community. He even criticizes the board members and directors, which I think is personally more so a dig at Johnny here, saying that he's claiming that they lack true community representation and decision-making power. And he thinks that other members of the community have been poorly treated by the KF, which we have seen in the past equally. Johnny have a bit of spaff back and forth with other members of the community, which, to be fair, it seems more targeted at Johnny and more aggressive language towards Johnny. But either way, you know, this FUD happens, it comes and goes. It's quite frustrating to see, no doubt about it. In regards to the stablecoins, he mentions that the KF effort to bring stablecoins on Kaspa, you know, he basically stresses that the community's responsibility is to ensure it's done in the way that benefits Kaspa's long term. So he's saying getting stablecoins on Kaspa is good. Like, he does highlight ultimately in all of this that what the KF is doing is still a net positive, it's still good. But I just think that they're rushing, and I think that they're doing things that are maybe, you know, maybe a little bit bent, I think is the best way I can clarify this. Now, of course, that did get a lot of responses. I didn't expect that to get spicy. If you've had time to check it out, what do you think of Casplex's roll-up design compared to Igra's? I haven't. 5 box highlights here. We'd love to hear your opinion on both sides. To which Shai responded just to a tweet he made back on the 12th of March, ultimately going into detail about smart contracts and his understanding of them, which ultimately just says, I'm not an expert on smart contracts. I'm just an observer. He basically just trying to say, like, I think, you know, he always just says, like, they use based roll-ups too broadly and should have said not unbased roll-ups. The essential characteristics they follow on is the sequencing of smart contracts on layer 1. These keep all smart contracts data on chain, but use miner provided proofs for validations. So ultimately, I mean, again, to paraphrase this effectively, he's just trying to say that, you know, he doesn't have complete expert understanding of smart contracts right now, so he can't give too much of a reply to this. Although, again, we have got people who are building more and more smart contracts on Kaspa, which is good to see, with IMMV here posting about their KRI Kaspa EVM. So that's Shai's first initial point, kind of putting, you know, his thought about stablecoins on Kaspa, the KF, and how they're handling the whole situation. Now, that in itself was surprising and quite shocking to hear, I'd say. And then Johnny responded, which, I mean, while Shai, I think that the biggest, I want to say issue, the biggest critique I'd have of Shai is the way he messages and types. It always comes across very blunt. Which, I mean, he did say, I'll be blunt, to be fair, but he doesn't know how to sugarcoat things, or how, I mean, again, it's not me trying to, by any means, take a dig at Shai. I actually like Shai, and I love his research documents and his in-depth analysis of Kaspa. While I don't understand all of it, I think he's a very critical part of Kaspa, which I think is why people get so frustrated with Shai when he does go on these little tangents and rises to criticism and argumentative, negging, if you will. But yeah, I think the way he put this out ultimately just seemed like kind of a bit of an FU to the KF and what they're trying to build in KRC. Which is why Johnny responded here saying, I appreciate the bluntness, Shai, but I can also be blunt too. You can be more blunt in calling me out, as you clearly named Oyson Lee and JW for admirations, so I guess I'm the one who you believe you received horrible treatment from. Anyways, on topics of stablecoins, KRC, KF, and, you know, much, much more here. Again, I'm going to summarize it for you because that's a very, very long response to Shai here. In summary of what he stated in response to Shai, he said the stablecoin strategy, the KF, clarifies they offer KRC20 and are open to building stablecoins on EVM, compatible layer 2s on Kaspa. So Johnny just basically saying here that, you know, he's saying to Shai to provide alternative stablecoin solutions, we'd have to wait for smart contracts. So are you saying we just have to wait for that? Wait for future developments, or is it, you know, is it still fine that we try and utilize KRC to bring some stablecoins in beforehand? In regards, then he goes on to respond KRC20 again as well, which he acknowledges KRC20's imperfections, but he highlights its usages and the market capitalization, which, while it has fallen off quite considerably recently, it has still got a fair amount of adoption. You know, still got quite a fair amount of holders as well, so it's not, you know, by any means fallen off massively. And I still believe it'll come back in due time as well. He also then goes on to say that Shai recently, or in the past at least, monitored, engaged with the meme coin and KRC20 as well, but only now is raising trust model concerns. And even then asked, how can we, fix these, if you will. He then went on to address the KF as a business entity and board of directors, which they are, and they stated that from the start, though. They stated from the start, we are a business entity, and made it clear from day one that we are not a charity. But then he goes on to highlight as well that Kaspa is a fair launch token, and therefore the worry about, KF's presence being problematic is kind of potentially non-mute, because Kaspa is a fair launch coin, which I guess, but at the same time, if you're a centralized entity that has too much control of even if it's a fair launch project, that can cause complications. So I get the argument on both sides in that regard, I guess. And yeah, it goes into a lot more here. Again, I'm not going to try and pull everyone for this, but it's ultimately important to note again. And yeah, it goes back and forth a little more. I'll leave the information in my community, which you can ultimately go and check it out yourself to read it through in more detail. Talks about the fact of dropping Rhubarb Media because they were not financially beneficial for their team. And then it goes a little bit more with Shai basically just saying about the nitpicking back and forth, you're pathetic, yada yada yada. So yeah, it got a bit heated seemingly, but particularly between Johnny and Shai, which is again not good to see. Johnny being the executive vice president of the KF and Shai being one of the focal points for Kaspa, while not the developer who's in charge of Crescendo and Dagon, like Shai and Michael Stein and Son Polinsky and them lot are. He's one of the core researchers to bring educational content, if you will. So that's not ideal. And then even more so, we did get a little update from Johnny here talking about the proposal with Tether, introducing what we have on Kaspa. No EVM for now, but we'll have some soon. The big debate with Tether is actually not KRC20 versus EVM. It is native USDT versus bridge USDT versus USD0. Again, either KRC20 or EVM is in alignment with KF interest. If the conspiracy is old KF wants stablecoins on KRC20 because they have Kasplex, this is not true because Kasplex also has ZK EVM. So he's just basically trying to say, bring stablecoins through early, he's kind of also making it's not really the biggest argument here because the smart contracts are coming out very soon anyways. So either we wait for something smart contract or we can get it out potentially a little bit early, but they're coming out very soon anyways. And the biggest argument, debate between the negotiator between Tether and KF is not what platform to build on top of, whether it be the Ethereum Virtual Machine or KRC20, but actually is whether they bridge it or it's a native USDT token. Now, with that all being said, Shai ultimately did apologise, which, I'm happy about that. It's a rare thing to see from Shai, but I'm happy about it. It came on the back, I imagine, from this post here. Dark Lord Kas here stated, yes, it would be possible for you to not get into X disputes. It would only help my mental health as I'm invested in Kaspa and Nacho, your cat. I enjoy reading your academic breakdowns and analysis, but hate stumbling across, quote, petty arguments. Jonathan Sompolinsky and Sutton do flawless work on X without getting drawn into petty nonsense. Would love you to do the same here. I only say that out of respect, which I would say the same thing to him as well. I understand it's hard to not get involved and get baited into confrontational exchanges on this platform, but as seeming on the focal point and leaders of Kaspa, you've got to do better effectively. That's kind of what you're saying there with respect, which I do agree with, and I think that's ultimately where it came from his apology here. I'll be blunt again. I spent the day sadly regretting my post about the KEF. I wrote it hastily without properly considering the optics and how it would be understood, which I think is one of Shai's biggest issues. If I was to be blunt myself, I think Shai was very knowledgeable and definitely has a very good, unique way with words. I think he doesn't always consider how they may be taken because he does sometimes come across quite blunt, which I'm not putting him down by any means. Again, it's not that, I don't think it's that unfair in that regard. He just also wanted to highlight that the issues with the KF have been bothering me for some time now, and I've been struggling with how to communicate with them. Eventually, I irresponsibly went on an impulse. Again, this post I'll leave in my community as well, so we can read through it all the time here. But he said, I'm still processing what exactly means, but it includes not making critical comments about anything outside my expertise, but within earshot. Avoid making posts of no particular interest to the Kaspa community, not getting baited into users' arguments, and again, not getting baited into users' arguments. So again, Shai right now is trying to do better, which I think this could, if he can stick to it, this will be a very positive step in the direction of getting Kaspa, in terms of its adoption, it's already growing more and more, but of course this sort of FUD will just generally deter people from, wanting to look into the project more so, because one of the focal points are, taking arguments on Twitter. It's not ideal, of course, but when it's coming to an educational bit, fine. When it's getting to like an argument like this, while it is Shai's Twitter page, so what in that regard he can say what he wants, again, this is the fact of the matter being. I think it's fair for him to say what he wants, but there are certain things he just doesn't need to realistically say. Getting debated, introduce arguments like this is just not ideal. And I think we'll also levy this response from Shai as well, thanks to Michael Sutton himself actually replying to the post. I don't know what was deleted here actually. I'm assuming it was Shai back and forth, but Michael Sutton himself responded to Shai's original post about stablecoins and Kaspa and KEF. Quite a lot of technical talk about it effectively. And Shai ultimately posted here saying, "Oh yeah, you're right. Regarding your comment, I realised I misunderstood a crucial part of the KIP15. Mostly, I didn't know KRC intended to implement it. If they do, it may solve their trust model issue, but not all the other issues mentioned earlier, mainly that I don't understand why KRC networks should be extended rather than gradually deprecated, especially given that Kasplex themselves are implementing a better protocol." So he's saying Kasplex is coming out with better protocols himself, with ZK EVM, which is good. But what use does KRC20 have therefore? And I understand the sentiment behind what Shai's trying to say there, truth be told. I don't think KRC20 is going to become obsolete, because from what I've seen, especially when Sparkle comes out, because we saw already when Nacho made a post in the past, when Sparkle comes out, which I think will probably come out a little bit later, when Sparkle comes out, it will allow these KRC20 ecosystem, this protocol, to become and kind of bridge migrating to smart contracts. So I think that's one element that Shai has potentially misunderstood as well. So while there are better protocols coming out right now, I'm still not worried about KRC20 right now. This is ultimately just a dispute between a misunderstanding, I believe. And even then, Kasplex have replied here saying, "Thanks, Shai, for your help in the past establishments of Kasplex protocol. We will try our best to keep improving and looking forward to hearing more from improved designs from anyone who can offer constructive feedback. Sure thing, guys. I appreciate everything you do. Being the first to take the reins on building a layer on top of Kaspa took serious balls. Can't wait to see your design post ZK0 knowledge opcode." So again, that is the kind of the long and short of the FUD and dispute regarding Kaspa between Shai and Johnny typically, which was a lot of spaff back and forth, a lot of handbags being thrown about, dummies and toys thrown out the pram and whatnot. It's come, I would like to believe, is quite a what's the word I'm looking for? Quite a civil end, with Shai apologising, which I think that in itself, apologising for some people is easy as breathing, but apologising for a lot of people as well is actually very, very difficult. I have no problem apologising. You know me. If I make a mistake, I'll apologise and I'll try and correct it for the next time. I do make a lot of mistakes. I'm only human, but apologising is not an easy thing to do. It's the bigger man to apologise. So hearing Shai be able to do that, I think is also something that reinforces me with a lot of belief and faith that, again, the people behind Kaspa are still, professionals, and they are very knowledgeable people, and they're also trying to do what they can do to help cater to what their own ideals are, but also to the community as well, which is good to hear. Very good to hear. Now, I'm going to answer some questions real quickly before I get into the macro news next, because I think, again, this will help us correlate and answer the questions of people asking about price predictions, which, again, I'm not going to give I'm not going to give price prediction for Kaspa, but I'm going to give the sentiment of institutions and smart monies, their prediction on crypto and Bitcoin, and then correlate that to what they've been for Kaspa as well. And then after that, I'll get into these posts here, ultimately going into detail about Chainge, Finance, and Nox.meme or not.meme having issues as well, which ultimately, if you do look at KRC20 here, we can see they've made an important announcement here. We've ended our partnership with Chainge, not Meme, for our safety of our community. So against that interesting moment, after this here, all this stuff here, and equally some questions as well. He doesn't usually do price predictions, but usually he'll say $1-3 if he's feeling bearish and 3-5 when he's feeling bullish. I mean, that's what I used to do in the past. In the past, when I talk about price predictions, I'd say, like $2 to $5 is what I was saying. But just again, because of again, it's just due to the fact that price is just such it's a thing that pretty much everybody cares about, and I get why. I completely get why. We're investors. We want to make money. We want to see where the price is going to go. So I get why. But I just came to the realization, and I think it's because of Kaspa's price action as well, that talking solely about price every stream can be such a toxic mindset. Because a lot of people in this space got roped into $10 Kaspa thanks to Moon Boys. And I'm not naming names. I'm not atting anybody either. It's not a hate by any means, but people were giving very outlandish predictions due to their own beliefs, whether it be based on fact or emotion, and people got roped into that belief. And now with Kaspa being down at 8 cents, the chance of it reaching those Moon Boy predictions is much, much smaller. Not impossible, of course. Nothing's impossible in this space. Anything can happen. But very, very hard now. And that caused a lot of lack of conviction in Kaspa as well. And people are very, very bearish. And I think they can get an 100x, and now they're probably barely going to get a 20x. Even that's still fantastic. Should we get a 20x from here? Not many cryptos can get quite a comfortable 20x. I'm saying maybe that's possible for Kaspa. Who knows? But I thought I was going to stop talking about price now, because I just think it can be such a negative thing to do. Saying that, I while I'm on the prowl for other assets that we're looking at through institutional research documents and what the institutions are looking at, on the prowl for other assets as well, I will be talking about other hidden gems in here as well, and ultimately we'll be giving from the research we conducted price projections on those as well. So if you want to have, understand the kind of my market strategies, my targets and whatnot, alongside the support of institutional research documents backing my beliefs, and private live streams backing my beliefs from the documents, and also trade alerts, everything else we're doing actively doing trades, then you've got to check out the CF Executive Watt page, Coin Factory Executive Watt page down in the description chat, also on my homepage there as well. But yeah, it also just ultimately the price will also depend on the time frame. When the market tops and when capital developments come through as well, everything is dependent. If we hit $1 to $1.20, I'm unzipping. Release a little pink kraken. Well, DC. As Mr. Miles would say, ask for Kaspa. Yeah, unzip me too. There you go. That's what friends are for, right? There you go. Community is very fruity today. Love to hear that. Lily eating an In-N-Out burger is the top choice snack for a QC stream. Love to hear that. In-N-Out burger. Unfortunately, because I've never been to America, I know, kill me. I never tried In-N-Out before. Although saying that, a lot of the American branches are now starting to come over to the UK. We had Popeyes come over recently, and we had Wendy's come over, which weren't here in the UK for a while. So they're starting to come over slowly but surely. So hopefully we get In-N-Out as well. Or if we do have it here, I've just never been anyways. All I need is 30 cents Kaspa. Again, not financial advice. I think 30 cents Kaspa is quite easily achievable this cycle. 30 cents Kaspa is what? Trying to do the maths in my head real quick. Just a rough estimate. I'm going to say it's probably about 5 bill was 20. So yeah, it'll be about a $7 billion market cap, give or take. So I don't think that's excessive at all, actually. $7.5 billion market cap's not excessive at all. Would be okay, but don't think Kaspa makes it through another cycle. 0.3. So 30 cents would be okay, but I think I think 30 cents is easily achievable, and I think Kaspa makes it through multiple cycles personally. What's up, Art Zimmerman? Hope you're doing very, very well. When's smart contract? Any idea? We haven't got a concrete date just yet. We have a definites out right now for Igra Labs and also for Sparkle. We know, not Sparkle, for Casplex. We know Sparkle's building some stuff behind the scenes as well, which is going to be a bigger factor as well. We know that EVM for KRI is now out, which is also very big. And actually, speaking of the KRI, there's currently a KDAO stream going on right now, which I plan to watch back and recording. And the KRI sponsored is saying, we don't even need fiber. KRI will be happy to have some collaboration and partnership with KDAO, which is very big, because KDAO is, KDAO actually, I think KDAO was the KRC20 token asset that launched, that caused the biggest surge in volume for Kaspa to date. I think it was. that happened when it happened around, where was it? It was around, I think it was about here. Yeah, I think it was here. KDAO launched around here. And it caused price-wise not a lot, but volume-wise, we saw over 600 million 24-hour trading volume of Kaspa thanks to KDAO. KDAO was and what KDAO has planned for it, from what I'm understanding, is a very, very big deal as well. So, I will look forward to listening back to this. And if KI does collaborate with it, we've seen what the KI is doing already. The partnership they have. I made a video on that just yesterday, talk about the KI, and I think it's going to be an extremely big factor for Kaspa. So I'm very bullish on that. For KI in particular. So KI start collaborating with KDAO, that would be a huge thing as well. And that might also help keep KRC20 up a bit more as well, thanks to KDAO, because KDAO is on KRC20. So in regards to when smart contracts, I guess, to come back full circle, we haven't got an exact time frame right now. Testnets will be coming out, I believe, the next few weeks. The full release will come out sometime in Q2. And then Project Spark will be coming out probably early Q3, I'd like to believe. But yeah, we'll see some strides coming made out this summer in the next few months as well. Punch through that 8 cents, please. My miners are getting expensive heaters. Yeah, I feel that, honestly. I do feel that. With more questions. Not worried, long-term bullish, 100% next level cash. I'm not worried at all about Kaspa right now. When one says Kaspa's a better question, in due time. In due time, no doubt about it. I doubt XRP can do more than 2-3x from here at best. My prediction for XRP, from what I've from what I've seen other people's predictions more so, because I'm holding XRP and would take. I think my plan to take profit XRP around $5 because I got in at 50 cents, so I would have got an easy 10x off that. I think XRP can quite comfortably reach $5 this cycle. And that's what I've been seeing with other content creators as well. I think people are now putting it above $10 right now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I'll go early for XRP. I'm not too worried because again, XRP, while it has a lot of adoption right now, there's just a lack of trust that I have in it. So unless something changes my mind about it, and I see even bigger, rallying behind XRP from institutions, which we've already seen a lot, but if I see even bigger, then I'll stick with it. Otherwise, then again, I'll just go back to Kaspa. Feed me some FUD. I welcome it. Nom nom nom. Hey, the FUD again. Not the best to hear, but it's ultimately still important to understand and note so we can get a better understanding of the project right now. If XRP gets to a $1 trillion market cap when Kaspa can do something like 50, 100x low, kind of not realistic. I mean, XRP getting to a $1 trillion market cap would be just under be like a 8x from here, something like that. Yeah, just under an 8x. And our mate XRP valued at $20 or just under $20. So again, it's I think a $1 trillion market for XRP. Who knows what next cycle is going to have in store for us? Because ultimately, what I'm seeing right now, and what the source I'm going to showcase in just a moment, this stuff here, and more importantly, the information I provide in this community here to the executives here, does show a lot of very, very strong, massive rally potential momentum in this cycle, and in particular following into the next cycle. We may see a pullback going to a bear cycle again, but potentially see a higher rally, quicker rally going into the 2029 cycle as well. So we may see it go higher, but again, that's following more policies and whatnot. We'll have to get into that, of course, later on. In fact, you know what? Talking about that, we will get back into this macro news first before we get into some more comments as well. So, start off here. Got this post here. Shout out to Cody for the scoop here once more. SEC Crypto Roundtable or Crypto Roundtable lawyer here says we all agree that Bitcoin is not a security. It is not an investment contract because it is sufficiently decentralized. That is also good for Kaspa as well, considering Kaspa equally is similar to Bitcoin in that regard. But we're building more and more trust and understanding of what Bitcoin inherently is, and that's good for its adoption going forward as well. However, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the market. You got to remember Senator Loomis took part in an interview where she basically just mentioned that a lot of policymakers, a lot of the people who are the smart money, the higher ups, they're still not too well understood about Bitcoin and crypto even now. They still don't even like it. But the difference is now they're willing to have conversations about it. So while we are not hearing a massive rally behind crypto just yet, I mean, it's building very quickly, but it's not right there right yet. They're not talking about it, and the talking all you need to have. So you hear people talking about it, eventually that can correlate and shift into investments. Especially from smart money, it's a very, very big deal here. Ripple's chief legal officer, Stuart Alderwotty, ultimately highlighted a response to the crypto roundtable that happened on the 21st, 2 days ago, on Friday. They submitted a response to Commissioner Hester Peirce on the statement there must be some way out of here, calling for public input on crypto taxonomy rules. So Ripple replied, trying to help out, saying that Dylan lyrics continues, quote, "There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. The prior administration thrived on confusion to mask its failure to follow the law. We urge the SEC Crypto Task Force to stay focused, return to first principles to stay within the statutory bounds, and finally bring relief through clarity." So what they've actually suggested, I'm not entirely sure right here, but they're trying to just say, while there is a lot of confusion still in the space right now, there has to be some way out. So just stand fast, dig your heels in, and find a solution. That roundtable on Friday was the first of, I believe, meant to be a series of 5 with the Crypto Roundtable Task Force. The whole premise is bringing in regulatory clarities to America, to crypto, and that will inherently help with a lot more adoption coming through. They are desperately trying to get our policies very, very soon. If you've been watching my streams for a while, you'll have seen a document from Meta, which is a federally funded organization that their goal and task is to guide the administration's, the president's team, on what sort of stuff they should implement in the first few months of their term to help benefit the country effectively. And Meta stated to Trump's administration team, you need to have crypto market stablecoin policies within the first 3 months. He was inaugurated on the 20th of January. We're currently only 2 months in. We've got 1 month left. So, should Trump stick to that time frame, which they definitely should do, we should be seeing a stablecoin bill at the very least before April 20th. And we actually already got the Genius stablecoin bill that has been floated around and even passed, I believe, in Senate right now. So we're now trying to find market structure bills as well, which I think Senator Lummis also stated that market structure bills and stablecoin bills are coming through very, very soon. And then you've got the rest of the other regulations you need to come through that as well. But of course, still confusion in the space right now. Here we can see once more, the Chinese Communist Party media published a key article on crypto highlighting Bitcoin is still too volatile to be a currency, but it has investment value. Dollar stablecoins could boost US dominance in global finance. China could speed up digital yuan, and asset development. Token adoption can strengthen the yuan's global role. Risk control is key to countering dollar stablecoins. So again, they're talking once more about, trying to find a way to combat the dollar, because of course China wants to become the world reserve currency, which is understandable. Of course, the power America got from being the world reserve currency is significant. But the stablecoins, which is why I think Meta stole Trump to pass stablecoin bills ASAP, could help boost and retain the US dominance in the global financial system. And while Bitcoin is still too volatile right now, it is being deemed as a good investment value. And that goes us into one of many posts we got here. Get to this part later on in a moment. This is the first interview, which I'm going to play just the last few parts of. This is Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio is the founder of the world's biggest hedge fund firm, Bridgewater Associates. Now, he's admitted he owns Bitcoin. That in itself is a very big deal. Smart money owning Bitcoin. And what he said at the very, very end is even more interesting. While he ultimately, his stance is still, I have more belief and faith in holding gold because it's less volatile and it's more proven as a store of value. He's diversified into gold and Bitcoin to hedge against the debt, and even recommends holding 10 to 15% of your portfolio in Bitcoin and gold as a hedge against inflation and rising rates and debt. So listen very closely to this interview here.
Second is, sort of anti-debt assets like bonds and so on, and I prefer the other. But I would say that should just be a portion of the portfolio. I don't want to get carried away with that. I would say that if you look at it as a diversifier, I think particularly gold is something that if you look at how it behaves in relation to inflation and also interest rates, it behaves in a way that's more understandable than Bitcoin. Bitcoin is more of a speculative element with this limited supply aspect to it. So, but if you look at that, it's an effective diversifier of the portfolio. If you take most other assets, stocks, bonds, real estate, and so on, they will generally have good times and they will do well. The gold and that is a diversifier. So you actually reduce your risk by having some in the portfolio, somewhere between 10 and 15% of the portfolio.
Now, I highlight that because, of course, Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater, is, him saying that is once more a clear-cut sign of the shift we're seeing in adoption of crypto, adoption of Bitcoin, and ultimately that will correlate to adoption of other assets in the space as well. You might see some in XRP due to their institutional connections. You may see some in Kaspa if Kaspa is perceived in a similar way to Bitcoin is as a store of value, but equally as a medium of exchange due to its scalability. That's a bit of just a throwing that out there. That's not me saying it's going to happen. But I'm highlighting ultimately in this post, Dalio is recommending holding 10 to 15% in Bitcoin and gold as a hedge against inflation, the current, dwindling economy, if you will. And then we pair that with the fact that the White House says gold reserves may be used to purchase Bitcoin, which is very interesting. While I don't know if it's going to happen, I don't believe it will do. That's still a big deal if that is the case. And then you pair that with what BlackRock CEO Larry Fink states in this interview here on Bloomberg, which he's not saying Bitcoin will reach here, but he gives certain conditions that should be reached, Bitcoin could reach here, between $500K to $700,000. Listen very closely to this interview as well.
During this week, if you're frightened of your debasement of your currency, or you're frightened of your economic or political stability of your country, you could have an internationally based instrument called Bitcoin that will overcome those local fears. And so I'm a big believer in the utilization of that as an instrument. And so if that becomes true, and you see that it could be a proper hedge against maybe hope security or equities. Yeah. The question is, could you see a 2 or 5% allocation? I was with a sovereign wealth fund during this week, and that was the conversation. Should we have a 2% allocation? Should we have a 5% allocation? If everybody adopted that conversation, but it would be 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 per Bitcoin.
Now, at the very end of the interview, he just admits that it's not me saying Bitcoin will reach that. Which again, of course, of course. But it's the conditions that he highlights there that's important for me. He's highlighting that at these sovereign wealth fund, at these meetings, at these higher up smart money conversations right now, they're talking about either allocating 2 or 5% of their capital, their portfolio into Bitcoin. And if every single one of the smart monies was to have a similar mindset, and of course that could very likely rally up a lot higher in the future when crypto becomes more widely adopted and more accepted through regulations and frameworks and whatnot, then theoretically speaking, Bitcoin could reach $500,000. Now, with that in mind, the Bitwise CIO, Chief Investment Officer, did claim Bitcoin will cross $1 million by 2029. Again, whether that's true or not, don't be emotional, be logical once more, understand that these individual smart money, no matter who it is, they have their own agenda, they have their own morals that they look out for themselves ultimately. So they have, while he may be saying this and why it may come to truth, again, we do have sources that we've looked through every single week, every single day, equally every single week in my community here, which does support the belief that we could see significant rally in the value of Bitcoin and crypto as a whole in market cap in the next 5 years. This would be the year it all starts right now, the turning point, the flip of the switch moment, if you will, starting this year. That's why this is the year I'm so bullish on crypto. This is the wealth transfer, the great wealth transfer this year, going to the future to be. Whether it's true or not, point being is Bitcoin in the future potentially could cost $1 million, and in the next 5 years, next cycle, I'm not saying it's possible that cycle. I'm saying Bitcoin, for me personally, I think Bitcoin in due time will surpass $1 million, but not how soon. But the reason I highlight this ultimately is because let's just say go back to Larry Fink's $500,000, not even $1 million, $500,000, right? we know, based on the supply and whatnot, that $500,000, so $500,000 Bitcoin would be around a $10 trillion market cap. 10 trillion. We also know that Bitcoin typically accounts to a little over half. I think it's about 58%, but just for argument's sake, it's got into 50% of the total market cap. So if you're seeing a $10 trillion Bitcoin, you're, by that logic, seeing a $20 trillion market. So when you then think about crypto potentially being a $20 trillion market cap, total market cap, and Bitcoin being 10, and then you think about what Kas was building, then you ask yourself the question, how much of that $20 trillion market cap, the remaining 10 that Bitcoin does not have, the $10 trillion market cap remaining, how much can Kaspa attain of that market cap? It's not got a lot of adoption right now. Now, I'm not sure if the 500 trillion is a necessarily thing for this cycle, because again, it's talking about the conditions being met of multiple smart money individuals who are all agreeing to allocate 2 to 5%. Even then, they're saying 2 to 5%, but then you do remember that Ray Dalio does say 10 to 15%. So maybe you'll see people ultimately starting to hold more of their allocation of portfolio into Bitcoin. Of course, there's gold as well, but even then, more into Bitcoin as well. So the question got to be asked then, if you see a $10 trillion market cap available, that's not Bitcoin, so 20 trillion market cap, 10 trillion available, what will Kaspa attain from that? Considering its technology coming out, the smart contract, the DAG Knight, the stable coins coming out, the continued developments once more, the 10 BPS to be 32 in due time as well, then the tier 1 listings following that as well. All these sort of major milestone developments that will allow Kaspa to be seamless to other chains. And again, thanks to the KII, which again I made a video on, with their EVM, Roy O'Neill already spoke to some hedge managers and some $20 to $40 trillion customer assets managed yearly financial institutions who use 95% of their settlements on Ethereum, and if they were to switch to Kaspa, which they could do with an EVM, or Kaspa EVM, switch from Ethereum to Kaspa, they save themselves millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars a year. So you could definitely see a lot more adoption come to Kaspa very, very quickly, quicker than we think, thanks to the KII, thanks to their developments coming through, Project Sparkle, all these sort of projects coming out as well could be a very big deal. So you then ask yourself, comparatively to the market right now, we've got currently a $2.78 trillion market. Kaspa right now is only at $2 billion. So it's only attaining to, I think that's 0.1% of the market, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's 0.1% of the market. So if you were to say, but obviously I think Kaspa's about half of that. If you're going to think about it compared to Bitcoin at Kaspa's peak, could Kaspa, if Bitcoin reached, theoretically speaking, $10 trillion, could Kaspa reach 1% of that market cap? Which 10 trillion to 1% would be 100 billion, if I'm not mistaken. I'm just going to do the mental math in my head right now. Yes, that's right, 100 billion. So if Bitcoin's reached $10 trillion market cap, and that's not the total market of crypto, it's just Bitcoin itself, could Kaspa reach 1% of Bitcoin's total market cap, being 100 billion? For me, I think that's a very high possibility. That would be a $4 price for Kaspa, therefore. Or just under $4. Could Kaspa surpass 1% and go higher? Well, considering its adoption and what's going to come through with, again, KRI and all the big developments coming through for it, maybe we can get more, maybe we can get 5%, which would then put it above 1 billion to 500 billion. Therefore, mini Kaspa would reach the value of just short of just short of $20. Yes, just short of $20, about $18, $19. So this is theoretically speaking, based on the smart money, what they're saying about how much they're allocating into Bitcoin and or gold, their belief of how high Bitcoin can go, the fact that you can apparently buy gold, use gold reserves to purchase Bitcoin, the fact that Bitcoin could reach $1 million in the next 4 years. If that's the case, then just 500k Bitcoin would reach 10 trillion. If it was 1 million, Bitcoin would reach $20 trillion market cap. Kaspa, therefore, would it be able to reach 5% of that, being 1 trillion? Is that right? That's right. That's right, yes. Yeah, 5% of 20 trillion is 1 trillion, yes. So Kaspa reach 1 trillion by that point? Maybe. Who knows? Again, fundamentally speaking, price action is so hard to talk about because we're in a market right now where we're making predictions based off information like this, or some people not using information at all, just emotions, but you're making predictions based on information like this, but ultimately nobody knows what's going to go because none of us here have the capital, the money to control the markets and control how capital's going to go, or market's going to go. So again, that's why I stopped talking about price action for Kaspa, wholeheartedly, and I talk theoretically speaking based on other assets like Bitcoin again. Because I can't just say blindly, Kaspa's going to reach like $5, kind of this, that, and the other, while I can give, reasons for my belief. Ultimately, because I do not have enough capital. I am not a market maker. I'm not part of the 1%. I cannot control the price of Kaspa alone. So what happens to Kaspa is at the hands of, the market sentiment and people who do have control of the markets, the smart money. Now, of course, again, they have their own agendas, so I don't trust these guys blindly. I never do. I find multiple sources and derive my thesis from that. My thesis from this is not Bitcoin's going to reach $500,000. My thesis from that is that if we get more adoption from the smart money, we'll see Bitcoin rally a lot higher, and we're seeing that conversation being talked about more and more now. So Bitcoin adoption is going to start rallying in due time as well. We're already seeing the stablecoin market cap surpassing high highs, $220 billion. And we're seeing growing liquidity on the sidelines. So this could fuel the next major market rally once the sentiment turns bullish again, which again is not far off from my belief. So ultimately, these sources showcase to me that we are in a stagnation period right now, a bear trap, but the market's still got a very, very bullish look to it, rest of this cycle and years to follow as well. And that could lead to higher highs for the market in general for Bitcoin, and how much that money will trickle down onto Kaspa if Kaspa gets ETFs as well. It's got its connections out there. It's got its developments coming out there as well. Kapa's got a lot of big things coming through. So argumentatively speaking, theoretically speaking, how Kaspa go from there? Of course, we could all make our predictions right now. I stopped talking about price action because, again, I think it's a toxic mindset. I'll speak theoretically based on other assets and ask the open question how high you think it can go, so then you can devise and make your own decisions. For me, if I think about that, I don't think about Kaspa reaching $5, which again is a $125 billion market cap. I think how much of the market cap percentage can Kaspa attain. So with Kaspa, let's say the market cap here reaches 6 trillion this year. Bitcoin therefore reaching about 3.5 trillion. So just over $150,000. If Bitcoin's to reach $3 trillion market cap, how much percentage of that market cap can Kaspa attain? Would it be 1%? Would it be 5%? Would it be less than 1%? If it's 1%, that would be 3... Oh, my math is so terrible today. That'd be 30... Yeah, it'd be 30 billion. If I'm not mistaken, that's 30 billion. He is right. So if Kaspa reached 1% of 3 trillion, Kaspa reached 30 billion. 30 billion, of course, is not that high at all. 30 billion would put Kaspa in around a $1.20, which again, even that's not bad. That's a 15x from here. So it's not bad at all. But could Kaspa get more than 1% of the market cap? Maybe it gets 5% of Bitcoin's market cap. Therefore, meaning instead of being 30, it'd be 150 billion. And therefore, that would be a $6 Kaspa. I don't think about Kaspa as... I think about all developers coming through and what it can mean for more impact into the market and the price of Bitcoin. I don't think about Kaspa going to reach that and the other. I think about, again, if Bitcoin reaches 3 trillion market cap this cycle, which I think it can do, based on the adoption we're seeing and the belief in Bitcoin right now, because Bitcoin's potentially easier to make a prediction on because you're seeing more posts about it. Bitcoin's the biggest asset, therefore Bitcoin's the biggest asset. So it's easier to make predictions on Bitcoin. Altcoins are harder because they're smaller, especially Kaspa because it's very small in comparison. So I just think this is what Bitcoin can do. How much percentage of Kaspa, how much percentage of that market Kaspa attain? 1%, less than 1%, more than 1%? How much? If I'm thinking safe, 1%, that's a $1.20, give or take. A $30 billion market cap. If it's higher, fantastic. At least I think that's right. Yeah, 25 bill market cap would be $1. So yeah, about $1.15, $1.20, give or take. 30 bill market cap. Could it go higher again? We'll have to wait and see. Time will tell. Now, with that being said, I'm going to get into the next Kaspa FUD, unfortunate FUD once more. I will be definitely listening to this later on, probably tomorrow. I might make a video on it tomorrow, depending on what I said as well. Talk about the KI once again, because I think again, people sleep on the KI right now. I think KI is going to help rally capital higher highs this cycle, thanks to the institutional adoption of what they're bringing through. So, I mean, I'll tune into this tomorrow, and equally, hopefully report about it as well. So stay tuned to tomorrow's stream as well. But I'll be talking about this real quickly as well. The last bit of FUD, but equally very important information right now regarding KRC20 right now. TLDI for Crypto K. Kas Kaspa has terminated its partnership with Chainge Finance and Not Meme due to ongoing liquidity issues and a continued lack of transparency and communication. That's what people are saying right now. They're rugging people. It's not looking very, very good. So what happened? Since January 2025, we received numerous reports from the Kaspa community regarding stuck bridge transactions on the Chainge platform. I'm a bit worried in regards to CG's community actually in that regard, because I'm pretty sure Coin Galaxy's community, they were heavily on Chainge Finance. They were the decks they were using, so that could be problematic for their community. I hope they're okay. Not that I would know, of course. Anyways, this issue stemmed from a severe liquidity crisis on Chainge Finance, which not only caused WCAS wrapped Kaspa, a Chainge issue wrapped Kaspa token, to depeg by over 50%, but also led to stuck bridge transactions which converted Chainge issue CUSDT to native USDT. So a very, very, very big issue. It also appears that the community is reaching out to Chainge about this for issues for months. However, the root cause was never addressed. The CEO made several promises, but no resolutions followed. Even worse, despite being fully aware of the problem, Chainge remained silent to their public channels and chose not to disable their bridge, resulting in even more users having their funds stuck. So that's the problem right now, and that's ultimately the issue that I have with third-party DEXs. While seemingly having good interest at heart, again, it's just a very, very big cause for concern. Even like for me, unless you're actively trading, which I guess some people are, but for me, if I bought my KRC20 memes of Chainge, I would immediately put them into Tangem if I could have done, which I think Tangem now support majority, if not all, the KRC20 tokens now. So I would put them into Tangem, because that way I'm not having that issue now with Chainge. And not having and then if you want to try and trade it off or get stuck, you can put it onto another exchange. But it's not just the liquidity issue is one thing. The biggest problem though, liquidity issues is a problem, but it happens, I guess. Not often, but it can happen. But the problem is being quiet about it and not addressing the issue. That's the problem here. So what did Kas Kaspa do? While the situation did not directly impact us or our users, as we never supported swaps for Chainge issue assets and only used them to fulfill our KRC20 swaps, we've decided to pause all partnerships with Chainge and Not Meme, or Chainge/Not Meme, effective immediately. This includes delisting them from our KRC20 market list and ceasing all use of Chainge Not Meme to fulfill KRC20 swaps. So they're strongly advising Kaspa's community to avoid using Chainge until the liquidity issue is resolved. This includes holding CUSDT, wrapped Kaspa, and any other Chainge issue tokens on KRC20's network. And that's the bigger impact of that. And even Christian Lubbock made a post about this as well, saying, since Chainge Finance wants to take a jab at KRC20's marketplace, I guess it's my turn. His post was back December though, so it's quite a while back. But either way, it's still relevant now. Chainge's decentralized exchange service. User selects Kaspa Chain when in fact the transaction is being done on Cosmos using mirrored one-to-one assets which do not benefit Kaspa, its network, or its miners, and this function is not decentralized. Yes, your transaction is literally being done on a separate project's proof-of-work network. So by itself, therefore, saying it's a DEX, if this, again, this is what I'm reading from here. I've not done too much in-depth insight into this, so I cannot confirm or deny this, but Christian Lubbock is very, very knowledgeable about Kaspa in this space, so I choose to trust him in this. And if that's the case, therefore, their DEX, Chainge's DEX, was never a DEX. If anything, it's just similar to every other thing in this space where they say it's a DEX, but it's not. Decentralized is not. It's got a central authority behind it. It's a proof of stake project. It's not. It's just not decentralized. Point being, anyway, the transactions take 40 to 60 seconds, which is very, very long. The risk of liquidity pool exploits. There is no such thing as a better price discovery, especially when low coins are also on centralized exchanges. Kaspa Marketplace, Caspiano, with upcoming PSKT implementations. You know, it goes into all of this as well. And it goes back to this as well. So reminder, the biggest red flag for me was always the risk of fractional reserves of a one-to-one mirrored asset, and because it was routed off the Kaspa to a private blockchain, the lack the lack of the data transparency. Ultimately, yes, it was a whole, I guess kerfuffle is the word I'm going to use. It was a bit of a situation, and it's been a massive issue right now, and it looks, in a sense, like they're rugging the community, which is not good. It's not good at all. I'll do as I can do as I must, to try and get everybody informed and hopefully ahead of time in the future. See if I can, because ultimately right now I tend to solely focus on Kaspa as the project itself, but focusing on the other entities that are kind of leveraging Kaspa in a sense, like Chainge are/were, is also part of my job as the educator/researcher, as I am the guy who everyone comes to, happily every single day to watch my daily Kaspa and crypto lives. So I'll do as I can to try and be more informed. But yeah, it's not a good thing to see, of course. I hope Chainge can fix this. Although saying that, I'm pretty sure that their trust has definitely gone. Similarly, how people are still very wary of Casware because of their whole issue when you had the KRC20 relaunch that caused them to get congested and whatnot and stuck transactions as well. So I'm sure Chainge is going to probably have a lot of followers or people who use them just fall off now and just leave. I hope they at least give the people's funds back at the very least. But yeah, ultimately right now, don't use Chainge. Don't use not meme. KRC20 is in a bit of a predicament right now. The FUD for Kaspa is kind of building, which is not good to see, of course. No one likes to see FUD, but it's important to note nonetheless. Either way, big things are coming around the corner. This is one of many things, I'm sure. And I'm still very bullish for Kaspa and crypto. This is the macro side of things, the fundamentals that give my belief in crypto. We've seen the rallying of adoption, liquidity growing more so. When the market flips, not a matter of if, a matter of when, we will see certain assets, majority of assets, not all survive, but majority of assets will probably sell toward the cycle. And I think Kaspa's going to be one that actually surpasses expectations. Not financial advice, of course, though. Does Shai ever stop putting things down on other projects and opening his stupid mouth about thinking? I mean, again, people don't like Shai. I don't mind him at all, but I do agree he should sometimes probably take a breath before speaking. While, again, the biggest problem people have with Shai was more or less based around his the quote-unquote political talk when he was grieving and expressing his opinions on Twitter. While I understand both sides of the argument, ultimately I was, I guess, more in support of Shai, just saying it's his channel, it's his page, he can say what he wants. But when it's actually more correlated to Kaspa things, then I have a problem about it, and then that's why I'm happy he apologised about it at the very least. Because, because again, if it's about, the political stuff, the quote-unquote political stuff, him grieving about the Middle East wars that are going on, while it's not great to hear from an investment standpoint, I don't have a problem with that, because I like to believe, trying to be human in the sense of trying to say, I get it, your family and friends are, in trouble. I don't want to, get demonetized or anything, but they're in trouble. That's a very, very nice way of putting it. There's more than just trouble. So he's grieving and he's, vocalizing on Twitter, getting his frustrations out there. People were putting him down more so. That I don't think was necessarily fair. I get it. I get why. But at the same time, I understand both sides. This part, though, coming at the KF, while whether it's justified or not, that is talking about Kaspa. And that's when more discretion, I think, is needed. More time is needed, where you're not going to get baited into arguments. That's what I think is needed when you talk about Kaspa-related things. If it's about your personal life, sure. Kaspa-related things, that's a different argument in its entirety. So I don't personally mind Shai, but I would like to hope that he does stick true to this and tries to make an effort to not get roped into people who are trying to egg him on and, cause some strife, if you will. This is the time to be bullish Caspians, not 17, 20 or 30 cents. Again, I think those price targets are very, very bearish. I already got to the whole, potential of where we could see Kaspa reach comparatively to Bitcoin's market cap this cycle based on their developments and whatnot. Because that's why I'm not basing it off Kaspa, as an individual. I'm basing it because this market's still a Bitcoin-ran market. So I base it comparatively off Bitcoin and where it can go, and therefore where Kaspa could potentially rally comparative to it. But I think 30 cents Kaspa is, fantastic regardless. It's still a higher high, and it will definitely be great looking at CoinMarketCap seeing a 30 cents Kaspa. But that's people who got in really, really early, fantastic. People who got in later, of course, is not the best. I think I could go much higher than 30 cents personally. Again, not financial advice though. Apology for Jay saying ZK. He means 0K. But his version wasn't made properly. I don't even know where I said that, but I hate you so much, Mr. Miles. Honestly. Yeah, the last out. Why buy Casper now? Because it'll be more expensive when it's $10 coin. I mean, that's also a potential outlook. Again, the biggest reason a lot of people lose in this space is either because they chase green candles or they just buy when it's high. A lot of people lost a lot of money, for example, with XCN. I did make a video on this about this on my channel, and I do see there's some form of potential with it, but I'm not holding it right now at least. Maybe that changed later on. It's a very small asset. But a lot of people got into XN because you saw this, godlike rally, a 1,700% gain from January to, in like a week or two. And people, of course, bought in the top here. And since then, this has come down 78%. Now, this is different to Casper, of course, because Casper, while similarly has come up massively and come down a lot, this is all in the span of this year. Massive rally coming down, span of this year. Casper, comparatively, while it has come up and come down, it's been a gradual downtrend since middle of last year. But Casper also has a lot more fundamentals, in my belief, than that sort of XM. My point being is, again, a lot of people as investors will chase the pumps and get shaken out. The time to buy is when the project is down. This should be the time, at least the time for me right now, where when I have the dry powder, I'm accumulating more, because I know there's a great time right now to accumulate when the prices are down. It's a fantastic opportunity. Yeah, Shai posted an apology. Yeah, I saw. This is the apology as well. I'm assuming this is the apology. Unless it's been another apology, I'm assuming this is the apology as well. I just see him apologise, so that's why I'm saying I'm happy about it. Let's just say it's a different one. I can actually just check his page and check it out anyway, but I'm pretty sure this is the apology anyways. Let's check it out real quick though. Buy high, sell low. Yeah, the best crypto strategy, but also the hardest one in the space, no doubt. It's the hardest strategy, definitely. Yeah, it's the apology I was thinking about. Yeah. Yeah, it's the best strategy, but it's the hardest one, no doubt. But yeah, definitely big brain plays. Shai is a net negative for this project of late. He's a attention seeker. He's been, I think, again, and I agree with this post here, the post he makes regarding the educational content, academic breakdowns, I think that's very good for the space and Casper. But this stuff is not ideal. So I hope he is able to find a way to either pull it back or stop this. But I guess it's a bit hard because, again, remember Shai, he was getting funded by the likes of the KF and Cas Media for his work towards Casper as well. And now, due to a change in I guess, strategy, if you will, Shai no longer receiving that funding. So, he's had to go through a drastic change himself. Again, if you want to read more about that, you can go for yourself if it happens, right? What people buy Casper at much higher prices if we have a bull run, but if you need to buy now, I'm sure a lot of people who are funding Casper every single day on all my videos, while I understand why, and while I'm sure they're having a good time funding it, thinking they're going to get any dig out of me, I don't react to it. It doesn't bother me at all if you're funding it. For my belief, when Casper does end up rallying, they'll either be completely quiet or they'll go to like, oh, but I thought Casper could reach $10, and I'll be like, I never said that. I never wholeheartedly believe Casper could reach $10. I said it's a possibility, but I never said Casper is going to reach $10 with chest. No. I fully disagree. I've heard this before, but people have no issue with separating people's personality and opinions from their work. Shai has devoted a great deal of time. I mean, yeah, again, I understand both sentiments, right? I think Shai's done a great job. A great job, truth be told, but I think this is the stuff I don't want to see. Him being, talking about the war thing, while not ideal, again, I understand why. I'm never going to come at the one thing that I hold higher than anything else in the world, more than money, it is family. Family is the most important thing in the world. Family and friends. Without them, life sucks. Most people do this sort of stuff, work, invest to have money for family, for friends. So Shai grieving on Twitter about his family and friends who are in harm's way, I don't have a problem with that in the slightest. I never will. And I will never come at anyone for having any form of negative viewpoint about it, and equally getting very short-tempered with people who are arguing about him about it as well, because it's hurting my investment. You know, I will never have a problem with that. But when it's about Kaspa or projects related to Kaspa, while I understand his points, and again, I'm not disagreeing with anything, I'm just highlighting the points he made, this is something that I personally believe could have been done in private. Between Johnny and Shai in private, not on blast for everyone to see. But that's just my 2 cents again. Yo, Vilky, my man. Hope you're doing very, very well, my man. Welcome back to the stream. People vandalizing Tesla with brain dead, with all due respect. I mean, people don't like Elon Musk, it's fair enough. That's why his Tesla stocks come down so far. But at the same time, I'd be surprised if Elon's Tesla stocks doesn't go back up. Yeah, I mean, again, I don't have a problem with Shai, but I think maybe a small step back would be a good break necessary. They are emotional people getting influenced by the media and what division. I mean, ultimately, that's ultimately when the quote that I live by, that we all live by in this space, in this community, in the QC and Coin Factory community, is don't be emotional, be logical. But part of being logical is also playing on people's emotions. Being emotional is the easiest way to get burnt in this space. That's why one of the hard things to do is detach emotions from trading and investing, because it ultimately can result in rash decisions. Part of being logical is understanding the importance of research, but also understanding the importance of the emotional people and playing off their emotions to take advantage of that. It's a dog-eat-dog world in that regard. But yeah, people are emotional, as they always are. It's frustrating, it can be, and it can even get to me at times when, well, I don't tend to normally have problems in regards to, like, even though crypto's come down massively, I haven't got a problem with that at all. I'm not worried at all, because I've done I've done the logical thing and researched more, and even a lot more in-depth research in this community, the CF WAP community here, which again, if you want to find out more, you get a small peek behind the curtains for a free trial. Come check it out. You can see all the private live streams we're doing in there weekly. Every single week we do a private live stream, which gives you a lot of institutional insight, in-depth information about the smart money and what they want to do with crypto, what assets they're looking into investing to as well, which is what some of the hidden gems will be based around as well. We do trades as well to try and capitalize on the current market, even though while it is a bit stagnant, and much more. So if you want to find out more about that, again, links are in the description on my homepage as well, and also in the chat right now. But yeah, my conviction has never been stronger for crypto, and Kaspa, if anything, got stronger based on the information that I've done from the logical thing. But emotionally speaking, it's going to always be about. So all you can do as a logical thing is either ignore the emotions or use that emotional talk from other people to play that into your investment strategy as a logical thinker, and trade wisely, effectively. Right now, there's a lot of sentiment that Kaspa is stagnant right now, but based on also the fact that we're seeing the hash rate kind of capitulate a little bit, which I think is partly due to miners going offline because Kaspa's not profitable right now, and equally because some collapse in networks and whatnot, because the hash rate is kind of stagnating at a lower price right now. This is a good indicator that we're at a price bottom for Kaspa. Of course, it can come down lower, but right now, as already highlighted in the stream earlier, I think it was Falcon that said the miners are struggling. So if the price goes down lower, the miners will leave more, so making Kaspa as a proof of work project capitulate more. That can't happen. I mean, it can happen, but chances of it happening is very small, because it's a proof of work project. There's a lot of decentralization. There's a lot of Kaspa out there, and equally, I don't think the people who manipulate Project Kaspa won't want it to fall off because they see it as a great investment opportunity. They're bringing out a lot of major stuff coming through very, very. If it had nothing building on it, fine. Kaspa's got multiple game-breaking developments coming out in the next 2 to 3 months, and then of course the rest of the cycle as well. Kaspa's building a lot of groundbreaking stuff. So I'm not worried about that stuff right now. This is a good indicator. The hash rate coming down, miners going offline, the indicator right now, there's probably at a price bottom here for Kaspa, that while it could come down to this price again, if Bitcoin does correct down further, right now it's kind of hovering quite comfortably around the higher end here. We could see Bitcoin come back down here again potentially. Who knows? But again, I'm not worried about Kaspa because I think the miners are a clear-cut sign that the hash rate is kind of stagnant, that's falling down. Therefore, if the price goes down further, the miners will go offline more so, and the price in Kaspa will just kind of fall off. So I don't think Kaspa will come down much lower from here. Of course, not financial advice, so, but that's the understanding of the hash rate in correlation to Kaspa's price. I'm going to try and get through more questions really quickly, but I am now past the hour mark by quite a ways now, so I am going to try and see if there are any more questions. Crypto Ghost, welcome back to the stream. Hope you're doing very, very well. Welcome back. Jay's going to be so annoyed when he gets to this part of the chat. I'm not going to lie, unless it's been something about... I've been very much skimming over it. If you're a question directed to me, I will answer it. Otherwise, then I kind of be skimming over it right now. And I also did forget to turn on live chat today, so I'm sure there may be some questions that I missed as well. I apologise. Although actually now I'm just seeing a load of waffle in the chat now. We don't always agree in the chat, but we're still all friendly. That's how it should be. True. FUD aside, again, this is the whole purpose of the community, is trying to build knowledge, understanding together, working together. Dynamic Blockchain acquired Kaspa Secure Technologies, incorporated and continue buying Kaspa. That's also true. They are I think they're a Kaspa only mining company as well. You also got BGN Blockchain, who was the reason why Kaspa's volume spiked so much not too long ago, who's the parent company of Ice River as well. How many more questions do I have? Okay, a hell of a lot. I'm going to just skip. Wow. Okay, I'll be honest, Mr. Miles, I think you and chat win again today. I'm not going to be able to get through all the questions today. That's way too many. K Crypto, why did you say 1 cent Kaspa is in due time, no doubt? Did you get confused cents dollar? Yeah, I did. I meant dollar. Well, I meant dollar. Definitely didn't mean cents. I don't think Kaspa goes into 1 cent. Jay needs to post a Kaspa Stream Fund wallet address. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Again, I said it last time, but I'll say again, I'll look into it. That British education is kicking in again. Yeah, you know it. Yeah, I'm really British. I know it's disgusting, right? I hate it. Can't do anything about it though. I was born here. Okay, well, with that being said, whilst I'm scrolling through the chat, see if any more questions, that will probably wrap it up for today's Crypto and Kaspa live stream. Ultimately, the FUD of Kaspa is not ideal. No one wants to see it, but it's important to know nonetheless. Either way, it seems to be settled in a civil manner, from what we can see on the surface at least. This is not good to see, so just be very wary about the Chainge finance area of things right now. But for me, this is short-term noise at the base layer, short-term noise for the incoming big-term gains for Kaspa in regards to 10 BPS, smart contracts, stablecoins, the lot, KII. Again, if you haven't checked it out already, check out this video here. Very, very big video type in the KII. I'll hopefully be able to make a video tomorrow, which might be a summary of this post here, this live stream with Kaspa DAO, who I'll get into a bit of the history behind Kaspa DAO and what they're trying to provide. There's also information about that. It's already in my free community here, so you can find a bit about Kaspa DAO in here as well anyways. But I'll be talking about that, and equally then the correlation to where the KII can start involved and get involved as well, which would be a very, very big deal. Very excited for that. That'd be huge. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that video tomorrow. I might talk about it in stream tomorrow, so we'll have to wait and see. Market again, we're seeing a lot more running adoption from the massive wealth managers, from the massive smart money, saying allocate more and more of your portfolio into Bitcoin and or gold. The biggest hedge fund firm, Bridgewater, the founder saying it, Live Think saying how high Bitcoin can go as well, meeting certain conditions. Bitwise CRO saying it will cost $1 million in the next 4 years. While these are very outlandish price targets, and whether they're true or not, we'll have to wait and see. The way I view these points is not Bitcoin will reach $1 million to not. I view it as Bitcoin will soar much higher thanks to institutional adoption and the belief it has in this space of how high it's going to go. So this is just a bullish point for me, not an indication of price, but a bullish point nonetheless. We're seeing the volume start to develop as well, which is very, very good. So yeah, I'm not worried in the slightest. And if you want to know a lot more about crypto and Kaspa, if you want to learn more about my market and targets and goals, if you will, come check out the wap.com/coin-factory. The CFX WAP page here, where we talk about a lot of institutional documents, weekly live streams, and a lot more in-depth information there provided to the community. You can join for a 7-day free trial, so you can get a little peek of what we provided there, and if you think it's worth your while, then by all means, please come sign up, because with what's coming to the space very, very soon, what we provided in there, it's going to be absolutely huge, and we're going to want to maximize the benefits we can make from crypto and Kaspa going forward as well. There's a lot to come. I have a lot to come, but with that being said, getting to the bottom of the question hopefully right now. I want more Kaspa. I would do anything for more Kaspa. Do me a favor, go down to the top 50 project and point at which one is better than Kaspa. I mean, I don't really have to. You know, like, none of these are better than Kaspa. Tau is AI, so it has an advantage over Kaspa in that regard. Tau will do well, but Kaspa, you know, if you're looking at Kaspa's a layer 1, Tau's not, so there's a difference in that regard. But Tau's good. I like Tau. Kaspa is just great, of course. I think VeChain is something I've been looking at a little bit recently. I had a little scoop. I'm not going to talk about it publicly on stream, but it's something I might be talking about and make a post about in this community here. So, yeah, little scoop for you lot there. Ondu is okay. Actually, I think Ondu will be decent this cycle. I've heard about AAV, but I'm not so bullish on that just yet. ICP, no way. Pepe's a meme. Aptos, heard a bit, not so sure. Hyperliquid, heard a bit about. I think it'll do quite well this cycle, but I think it's just the Solana 2.0 or 3.0 after Sui. Pi, no. Dot, no. Litecoin is fine, but Kaspa's already surpassed Litecoin in regards to, you know, hash rate and also in regards to transactions volume already. So, you know, Kaspa will in due time surpass Litecoin and markup as well. Sui, similar to Solana from what I've seen as well. Hedera will be good, but I mean, I can go through it again. I can go through each bit by bit. They all have their own little niches to an extent, the whole little industries they're targeting, but Kaspa, for me, is better than majority, if not all, in this space. That is partly a maxi mentality, but for me, they are better because what Kaspa's doing in this space is doing what these other projects in the space are trying to achieve as well, in regards to being a medium of exchange, but Kaspa's staying truly decentralized. So it's sticking more to the actual fundamental of what crypto is meant to be. Something that I think institutions are going to be very, very, very bullish about. That's why the KRI is involved. They wanted to have these projects that they have that require decentralization at scale, so they can protect themselves from bad actors, but also government overreach. There are many institutions in this space, in the world, that does not want to get governments to pry into their business. And decentralization will help with that. True decentralization is what Kaspa can provide. So you might see more adjustment from that. Kaspa's the only one in this space that has that. Well, Bitcoin has it, but it's not scalable. So Kaspa has that unique advantage, therefore. But anyway, that was being said, if you answered a question in the chat, I do apologize because there's way too much in the chat, and I love you all for asking so much and being so interactive. But unfortunately, I have got to head off right now. So if you ask a question I didn't get to, please feel free to save it, and I'll make sure to answer it tomorrow. I'll be back same time tomorrow, which will be 8 p.m. at British Standard Time. I'll make an announcement in my community, my free community here. Again, if you want to know more about crypto and Kaspa for free, community was trying to learn more from crypto and again just general macro news. Check out the community here if you want to be even more locked in, learning a hell of a lot more through inside alpha, you know, private information that I should not get access to, but I am, because I'm just that guy. Check out the what page here, 7-day free trial. Check me out on Twitter as well. Be reposting a lot of stuff in there. And yeah, if you enjoy the stream, as always, leave a like, share your friends, subscribe for more. If you, yeah, I mean, I think that is. Remember, to answer your questions, nothing personal. Yeah, go. Yeah, I mean, I got to the bottom right now. Mr. Mar's still trolling me. Cool. Yeah, nice. Better than 95% of the top. Better than 95% of the top 50 projects, and people are worried. Yeah, precisely. The only project that I would argue that is out and out, quote unquote, better than Kaspa is Tau, and that's purely because it's in the AI niche, like massively in the AI niche. And I've heard a lot of information, again, thanks to the community here, on how big AI is going to be. But even then, I wouldn't say that Tau is better than Kaspa. I just say it's not in the same industry. It's a different sector. I'm not worried about Kaspa. People who are worried about Kaspa, who like fighting on it, you're entitled to do so. You know, have your laugh about it. I can just sit here quietly and keep DCA into it because I have my conviction. I know what I'm holding. No, I meant Tau. I meant Tau. You guys are gonna stop. You guys are too much. With that being said, have a great day, good evening. Oh, you guys have a great evening, good night.